Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be doing two really cute fall easy paintings. I've got them right here. They're pretty big in the frame, but we're going to be doing a pumpkin painting and then a maple leaf painting as well. I put these up in my living room and they're just like the perfect fall decor paintings. So they're 11 by 14 and then with the mat board in the frame they're 16 by 20. But I just love them so much and I really hope you do too. I think it's like the perfect easy fall painting, and I did these on paper so it's super affordable, and all you need is acrylic paint and something to paint on, and there you go. You got your fall painting. So I'm gonna do both in one video and it'll be quick, fun, and we could just chat and paint and hang out together. So let's get into it. We're gonna start with our pumpkin first. So these are the three brushes that we're gonna be using. I've got a small round brush, like a little bit bigger of a round brush, and then a small flat brush. And then for our paints, I am going to be using a white, yellow, red, green, and blue. And then I'm just going to show you how I mix all of these. I'm going to start from light to dark, and I am using just one brush, and because all the paint kind of builds off of another. So the first one's just white and yellow, and then we have white, yellow, a little bit of red. And then I'm adding slow dry medium as well. And I like this method of mixing my paints first because it gives me an idea of what the color palette looks like all together before I even start. And I feel like it just has like a little bit more consistency and control when you mix your colors first. And this last color is going to be more like a light brown, like a dark orange, light brown color, and so I'm going to add a little bit of green to balance out with the red. And now we're going to start painting this pumpkin, but in the opposite direction. So we're going to go dark to light, and we're using that same square flat brush, and we're just pulling our light brown color up and into the pumpkin. And I'm using really bold brush strokes here for an artistic effect. We're not going to be blending too much. I want to see every brush stroke, and I want to see color variation and just have like a more of like a fun, fun, kind of like carefree vibe. And I'm also using the edge of my brush to pull this light brown color up and then all the way through the pumpkin. Our light source is going to be on top, so the lightest color of the pumpkin will be on the top and the darkest will be on the bottom. And then the other thing is we will be mixing up another brown for the base where the pumpkin's sitting on, and that will be like a tree trunk, so we'll get to that later in the video. So yeah, I'm just kind of mixing and going up with my brush strokes here. I've sped it up quite a bit because it's just like a lot of the same, but you can pause the video if you're following along and just take your time. And now I'm going to transition into the lighter color here. And we're kind of like feathering it down a little bit. And here is a close-up. And I just had so much fun with these. So this is our lightest color, and I'm really just kind of using that to like highlight. And so that like top like highlight, there were like 3 oranges, but I added a little bit of white to kind of just pull those highlights out a bit more. And then I'm going in with our darkest color, which is basically a brown, and filling in the stem. And then I'm going to use our light orange to add some highlights to that stem and really give it that 3-dimensional effect. And again, like I'm using the same brush, and something about me and when I paint, I don't often clean off my brush, especially when I'm using a color palette like this where it's all basically shades of the same color. It's not, I don't know, I just kind of don't clean off my brush, and I actually feel like it makes the painting look more cohesive because all of the colors have a little bit of each other in them, if that makes sense. So kind of a lazy strategy, but also I feel like it works. So, it works, it's good. So now I'm going to be doing the bottom of the painting. I put this pumpkin on a tree trunk, and so I'm going to just kind of paint the base of the wood here with that same brown, and then I'm going to add like the wood grain in with some of the lighter oranges that we have. So right here I decided to add a little bit more of a shadow to my pumpkin, and so basically all I did was add a bit of blue to that color, and it kind of creates this almost like greenish shade, but it is like just basically a cooler tone, and so that will help with our shadow. So whenever you're painting, if you want to make a shadow, just add a little bit of like a cooler tone to it, and it will help create that depth. And so I'm using the same brush again and just kind of filling in that shadow, filling in the base. And now I'm just going in and going back in with the brown, filling all of that in, and adding some detail to my trunk. Okay, so now I'm going to be mixing up that background color that I mentioned before, and that is just white with a little bit of the brown from our tree trunk. Mix that together and then apply it to the background. You can leave this background white, you can change it to blue, you can make it whatever color you want. For me, I did a color to kind of match the wall color in our house, but for you, pick whatever color you desire. So that's what I am doing with this painting. One tip for the background, I would mix up a little more than you think you need, just in case, because if you run out, then you kind of have to paint the whole thing, or you'll have basically two shades in your background. And especially if you're going to do both the pumpkin and the maple leaf, then mix up double so that you have the exact same shade and then they both match. But yeah, that's basically it for our pumpkin painting, and now we'll move on to the maple leaf painting. Okay, so now we're starting with our maple leaf, and for this you can use the exact same color palette as before. I added just a little bit of red. I was running low on some of my paints, so I mixed up a bit more, but I made the oranges just a little bit more red. And then I also switched my brush to a round brush. You can stick with the square or you can stick with a round brush to just kind of like change the shape of your brush strokes. This will also be really good for getting in those like little kind of like ends of the leaf, and that'll help kind of just like fill those in the shape of the brush. But you can totally do this with a flat brush as well. So basically the plan here is to fill in the main color of the leaf, and then while the paint is still wet, we're going to go in with some of that lighter color that we did for the pumpkin, some of the lighter oranges, and then also some of the darker oranges and some of the brown, and we'll put in like the veins of the leaf, and we'll just kind of layer it and really blend it together. And I feel like this is where the round brush really shines, because it like gives this beautiful like nice wispy blend. I feel like the shape of the brush strokes are just so perfect for this. And then that small round brush that I showed in the beginning of this video is going to be used for the stem and some of like that initial like brown that we're putting for the veins. But I'm actually going to go in with my Posca paint marker or paint pen, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of like redefine those veins. It's a lot easier. Once it dries, you can just kind of paint with those, and it's super easy. If you haven't tried them, I highly recommend. They're amazing, and I love them, and I use them any chance I get. So that is just kind of basically the whole plan for this. And then I also kind of incorporated some yellow paint straight out of the tube and some red paint straight out of the tube, just to get really like some like intense colors. And at this point you might be thinking like, oh, I don't really like it, but once you put the detail on top and then those colors are fully in the background, I feel like it really does make sense. Like all the color variation is really, really pretty, especially when the veins go on. So here I'm just outlining again some of those like the veins, and it really just, I feel like it makes the whole leaf and it pulls it together.
So yeah, and then these are like the thicker ones. I know they have different sizes of these paint markers. I do have some of the thin ones, but only in a few colors. But I bought this set of the thicker ones. So yeah. That is, and I'm also, like, I know I drew it out beforehand, but I couldn't really see my pencil marks at this point, so I'm just kind of putting in veins wherever it feels right, and I'm not really trying to think too much about it, because sometimes I think that, like, it's easier to just go with your gut on something like this, where it's supposed to be organic, it's not supposed to be super rigid or measured or anything like that, so yeah, it's actually kind of fun to just let go and put your details wherever. Okay, so enough about the veins. So moving on to the background, I switched back to my square brush or flat brush, and I'm doing the same background color as the pumpkin, which you might remember is basically just white and like brown, which we had mixed up before. I did run out, so I did have to color match it. It's like slightly off, but it's pretty close and right next to each other. You can't even tell. So yeah, this is my like kind of like off-white background, but it's super, super pretty, and I really, really love how these paintings came out. I put them up in my house, and no one was commenting on them, and I found out that they thought that they were store-bought, and that's why no one was like, oh, you made some new paintings. But anyway, yeah, so I guess it's kind of a compliment to, you know, people thought it was store-bought. So if you like this video, please let me know, and I will show you the final two paintings together again. But yeah, this is pretty much the final step, just filling in the background, and it's been so amazing to make these paintings.
And that completes this video of our fall paintings. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and comment what you want to see from me next. Do you want to see more fall videos? Are we ready to get into winter videos? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.